Hello everybody, Blue Dooley, and today we are talking about the HPI Venture Scale Builders Kit. If you've been following along on the channel, you've seen I've gotten it out on the trail twice, and I'm really happy with the performance of the truck. Today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the chassis itself, the build quality, the quality of the directions, and some customer service, as I did have two issues with the kit. We'll get to those first. The two issues I had are it came to me and is missing this metal collar that this ball joint fits in, and then this screws into the drive shaft. My kit was missing one of these. So in my running videos, I'm actually running a different set of drive shafts in the front. The second issue I had is the jam nut for the servo saver. When it was getting machined, it didn't get all the threads cut in it. So this doesn't actually thread on, but a 1/16 of a turn. There's like one thread cut in it. So I went to HPI's website, found out you had to go through HRP for warranty claims. I sent them an email. They got back to me really quickly. HRP is based out of Salt Lake City, so since I'm in the same time zone, I did get pretty quick responses. Both of those issues were taken care of quickly. All I needed to do was fill out a little warranty information, give them some part numbers, and when those parts were in stock, as one of them was not in stock, they would just ship them right out to me. I was in a little bit of a hurry, so I'm using a set of drive shafts I cobbled together from some parts. And then I just decided to order some because I found a set of drive shafts on RC Planet. They were cheap. Parts get missed, and when you're machining a lot of parts, I mean, it would have been really easy for anybody to overlook that one didn't get fully cut. So aside from those two things, though, the kit went together really well. The directions are just simple exploded views of all the parts. The part numbers that are listed are easy to read, and the screws are to scale. So if it tells you need a certain size screw, just match up the screw to the diagram, and that's how you do it. So, part numbers are easy to read. It tells you how to set up your pinion and your gear mesh. It also has a gear chart telling you what gears you can run stock. Stock, it comes with a 16-tooth pinion and then a 60-tooth spur gear, which is on the lower end. You can go all the way up to a 32-tooth pinion, I believe. No, 31 if you run a 56-tooth spur gear, and 28 if you have the stock spur gear setup. Changing out your pinion if you need to. There's a single screw in this cover. Take that out. You can get to the motor mounting screws real easy. Swap your pinion out, set your gear mesh, put this cover back on. You're ready to go. As for assembly, I've put a few kits together, so I follow the directions pretty easily. I think if you're used to putting things together, the directions are clear enough. You can get the truck together fairly easily. All the holes, everything lines up the way it's supposed to. The only part I had a little trouble putting together was the slipper clutch. I don't know if I just wasn't holding my mouth right, maybe, but I ended up taking the slipper clutch assembly out to the garage, putting the drive cup on, and then just tightening it down enough so I could get the set screw in and set. That only took a couple of minutes. So if you have problems with that, I would recommend just using the vise. It's super easy. Aside from that, you really don't need any special tools. I have one shock in the rear leaking. I don't have shock pliers, so I might have scratched the shaft a little bit when I was putting it together, or didn't have quite enough lube on the O-rings. So I do not believe it's the fault of the kit. I believe it's my fault for putting it together in a hurry, or just not paying attention when I did that shock. The plastics on the chassis all feel nice. All of the metal components feel real nice. The gears mesh well. You don't have to shim them or anything. I didn't have to shim them. The builder's kit is just the chassis. No electronics, no bumpers, no wheels and tires. It comes with all the body posts you need, and it also has the raised body post mount in the back for running SUVs like the Bronco, the Blazer, the Ram Charger, any of those taller SUV style bodies. It has the mounts for it. So you shouldn't need to customize or fiddle with anything to get any body you want to put on the chassis to fit. The Power Wagon fits it really well. The difference between the Scale Builder's Kit and the RTR are a few upgrades the Builder's Kit comes with. For starters, the Builder's Kit has brass weights that fit inside the axle tubes here, front and rear, so you get 24 grams of weight in both axles. That keeps the weight real low, and it's also not rotating mass, so you don't have to worry about damaging axle shafts. Also has constant velocity joints out here, and all metal links for the suspension. It does have the RTR's dual rate springs, which I have found to perform really well, at least for my style of driving. The chassis does have plenty of flex for my driving style. I mean, it doesn't have a ludicrous amount of flex or unbelievable if you're going for scale looks. I have heard a few people say the chassis is a little outdated. It's a basic chassis. I mean, to me, the differential being centered or offset doesn't matter to me. Inner fender wells, they'd be nice, but I don't think they're necessary, especially since the HPI doesn't know what body you're going to put on it. So if they put inner fenders that fit their body, it might not fit, they wouldn't fit the Power Wagon body. So, and it wouldn't be that hard to make inner fenders if that really concerns you. Of course, the chassis is also only single speed, doesn't have portals, doesn't have remote locking diffs. All reasons why I bought it. I've seen some portal rigs out on the trails, and to me, it seems like all those guys who have really well-performing portal rigs all spent a lot of money in weight to get brass portal boxes, or wheel weights, or other hardware to lower the truck's center of gravity considerably, just because the portals screw it up so much. Portals aren't necessary, and except for the Hummer and the Unimog, I can't think of another vehicle that comes with them. Onto the gear setup, it has the slipper clutch and spur gear and pinion up here in the front next to the motor, with a divorced 3-gear transmission in the center. These are metal gears. They're not fine pitch. I think they're 32 pitch. And I believe they're also the gears used out of the HPI Flux, which is one of their real fast brushless setups. So the gears will handle probably whatever power you want to throw to it. Drive shafts are plastic. That's alright. For the kind of crawling I do and the amount of power I'm going to throw through it, The chassis is just a good fit, and as I have the RTR, I'm so happy with the way that performed. I went with the Scale Builders kit so I could get those few upgrades and then run the electronics I wanted to run in it. I have a set of stock HPI Venture bumpers coming on the way, at least the front one. I like the look of it, and actually if you trim off the headlight protector so you just have essentially a stinger, it fits the Power Wagon body really well. The other chassis modification I made is I'm running magnets for body mounts instead of body posts. I'm still up on the air in that decision. It's nice because it makes the body look cleaner. It still comes off fairly easy to get the battery swapped out. These particular magnets I have, despite being rare earth, they don't hold the body if the truck rolls over. Not a big deal in my book. For my electronics, if you haven't checked out any of my other videos where I talk about the truck, I stole the Spectrum receiver out of the Wheelie King. It's just a 4-channel. I am running a Hexfly 25 kg waterproof servo. I actually got a pair of these fairly reasonable on Amazon as I was going to put them in the plow truck. The plow truck's kind of been on hold for a little while, waiting for some parts that have been back ordered for months. So I threw one of the servos in this truck to see how it does as a crawler servo. With the 1.9 RC 4-wheel drive mudslingers I have on here, these are the XL, so they're a little taller, and J Concept beadlocks. They're a plastic beadlock. They're not really that heavy, so 25 kilogram servo has plenty of strength for the truck. With my setup, I know some people really go overboard on their servo. I don't need to have the whole truck move if one of the wheels gets stuck in a hole. I'm okay with just picking the truck up, getting it out of the hole. I also don't comp. So I would actually recommend, if you do need a budget servo, Metal Gear waterproof X-Fly, the servos seem to work really well for me. I have one in this, and I put the other one in the Grand Hauler. Works really well on that truck as well. For the motor, I'm running the Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion. The electronic speed controller and motor are one unit. It actually gives the front end a fairly bit of heft up front. This is the 1800 kV option. I had it again to put in another truck. 1800's a little quick for a semi. However, in the crawler, I feel this has plenty of speed for what I do and need. Other reviews, people have said it's not fast enough. I don't need my trail truck to go 40 miles an hour. It's that simple. The Fusion is really smooth. I've made a video about how smooth it is and how much I love it. If you're looking for a brushless setup, and again, you don't need a squazillion kV so you can do 100 miles an hour down the trail, I would definitely recommend it. It's very controllable. In this chassis, it works really well. And there's plenty of room for it in this chassis. It fits nice. I didn't have to modify anything to get it in here. I have seen on some other chassis that you do need to do some trimming to get the setup to work. So this chassis has enough room. You can pretty much run whatever motor setup you want in it. Receiver box, and then this flat plate here is for your speed control. Since the quick run is all in one, I don't have anything here. Battery goes in the back of the chassis. I will put a link in the description, as I found someone on Thingiverse who can print a battery tray that sits here, puts the battery along this way instead of this way, if you want the weight a little more forward and a little lower. With the axle weights, I'm not going to move the battery. The truck performs well the way it is, and I am really happy with the Scale Builders kit. I think HPI did a real good job with this chassis, and while it is a little outdated if you listen to some people, as it doesn't have a few features that other rigs do. I know some people are really annoyed it doesn't have inner fenders. Those kind of things don't bother me. I wanted a simple rig. I didn't want a 2-speed. I don't need a 2-speed. I don't need remote locking diffs, and I don't need portals. I also don't need the axle to be, the differential in the front axle to be offset to appear more scale. Those details just don't bother me. And if you're one of those guys who's just like, you know what, I just want a rig that I want to put together, put what I want in it, runs good out of the box, the Scale Builders kit of the Venture is a pretty solid bet. All the components are well made, the plastics feel nice. I haven't had this truck out in the cold, but judging from the plastics on the Wheelie King, they handle the cold pretty well. I've only broken one plastic part on, well, this makes my 4th HPI truck.
This will wrap up my thoughts on the HPI Venture Scale Builders Kit. Here you can see where the body magnets kind of let the body come off when traversing some obstacles. Overall, I really am happy with the quality of the kit, how easy it went together, and the customer support that I have gotten so far with it. As I said earlier, this is my 4th HPI vehicle. All of them work really well. I've beat the snot out of that poor Wheelie King. If you've seen any of those videos, it's fallen almost as many vertical feet as it's driven laterally. They really are a tough product, and I recommend you check them out if you are looking for something different. Hope you enjoyed the video. Click like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.